Good morning, my friends. Welcome to Words from a Friend podcast. I'm your host, Marty Carey, and this is the podcast that follows my book, Words from a Friend, a daily guide to a purposeful life, available at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And it's a 365-day inner journey. Glad to have you along. And we are on episode 26, the January 26th message. And today's message is titled, It's All in Your Approach. And we talked about approach at the very beginning of the year. We talked about approach a little bit, taking 100% responsibility for it. Now this, I must have felt like writing about it again. So let's see what else we got in here. No matter what you do in life, your approach is everything, whether it's a simple phone call, conversation, job interview, difficult interaction, or exciting new chapter of life, right? Or just a new chapter of life that you're not necessarily excited about because it's been a sudden change in your life, right? May be less than exciting because you're thinking what this world wants you to think, the worst. We grew up, hey, might as well think the worst because the worst is probably what. No, you can't take that as your fuel. Not into a new chapter. No, nope. You're going to expect more from yourself. So you're going to you can expect more from the light. You put your light into it, you can expect more to come back from it. You put your complaining, your same old stuff into it, well, you're just going to get exactly what you've always gotten, right? Is that okay? Great. Fine. That's fine. If you're happy where you are and what you got going on, blessed, right? But there's more for you if you feel like expanding that light of yours. There's experience. We're here for physical human experience, the physical experience. And so many things are so beautiful in this experience that we overlook that because we're always looking at what's souls instead of people, right? Knowing that they too have the same crap in there that you do, but they also are the same light as you are. And that's the real stuff. Everybody's personality is created by, environment and your lineage and, lots of stuff that was handed to us from the inside, but lots of stuff that was handed to us on the outside. And as the arbiter of our own lives, the person that's supposed to look over ourselves, that's us, we have to weed and seed because we're constantly growing beings. Our light wants to grow. So that's when we get stuck and we feel bad about, this or that, we get low. That's just energy that's stuck. You got to get that, you got to get chugging. You got to get that engine chugging again because we are generators of our own energy. We generate it. So when we generate thoughts in the higher realm, good thoughts, the ones that serve us, well, then that helps our body to get up and get moving in the right direction. Sometimes you have to get your body moving before your mind gets moving in that direction. So you get on the treadmill, you do something like that, the exercise releases the endorphins, you start feeling more positive automatically. That's the gift of exercise. It's the gift of giving yourself your own energy. You're generating. You're a generator. You're a generator, right? What do you want to generate with? What do you want to generate in your life? Well, that's what you got to generate going that way. So this, we talk about every day, is the real generator. What do you think animates you every day? What do you think that force is that is breathing you while you sleep, that you're not conscious of your breathing? Something's breathing you, right? That's it. That's God's energy. That's the gift of you, of this life, of your being here. You get to be here. As much garbage as there is here, there's lots of good stuff to be here for. And there's lots to come. So if you are just facing a, sudden challenge, divorce or breakup or something along those lines, of death in the family, know that the sun is going to shine again. It is. It's who you already are. You're going to go through the times of you want to reassess, and you're going to do those things anyway. But give yourself that love, man. Be compassionate with yourself, and know that on the other side of this, the clouds, that's learn going through this. It's going to make that sun even brighter when you get out of it because you're going to have more sight, right? You're not going to go through that again. You're going to be more selective about what energies you let into your life, get close to you, and do that kind of stuff. So I don't think that was a mistake. You can call it a mistake, but it was a teacher. Learn the lesson. Just asks you to learn the lesson so you can teach other people through your example of climbing out of that stuff and back into your sun. I've seen you guys do it. I've seen you guys have terrible things that have happened to you. We go away for a while because we're going through it. We're going through the shit. We all have been there. If you're there right now, know you're going to come out of it. Don't listen to the voice inside of you that's saying you're not ever going to see the light of day again. You will. You will. Okay? That's your ego talking. That's your nonsense. It's nonsense. It's the liar within the liar. Okay? We're getting rid of that liar this year. Getting rid of it. You're on the upward climb. Whatever you do it for yourself until you realize you're yourself again. Right? Upward thinking. Upward movement. Movement. Don't stay stuck in that cocoon, thinking and overthinking and over worrying and all that stuff. Get moving. Face everything and rise. F-E-A-R. We'd just like to say F-U to F-E-A-R, right? Wouldn't we? Of course, because that's the dim light, right? Sure, yeah, in case we won't burn our hands on the stove, that kind of fear. Yeah, that's protecting us, but not as a vehicle. Not as a vehicle to live in. No way. That's a crappy vehicle. Crappy interior. It's got crap all over your car. It's nothing. Clean it out. It's garbage you can't move forward with, and you can't have space. You're creating spaciousness in here, which is becoming lighthearted, easier about the journey, easier about going through things that once brought you to your knees, easier about it because now you're on the other side serving. You're serving the light that you once needed from somebody else. You know how to give it now because you went through it and you go, what did I need? What did I need? It's the same thing. So if you have that opportunity to give that thing to whoever's around you, that's your thing to do. You don't know what to do. You're paralyzed by fear. Stillness. Stillness brings you back into your sun so that you can be reasonable about what you're facing, where you can think calmly, as calmly as you can. But that's practice, that's faith, that's trusting that you're not doing it alone. You're not going to go through it alone. There's going to be people there to help you. There's going to be God is going to be working through you. This is for you, okay? Somehow, and I don't claim to know how many times because I asked the same question, how is this for me? How could this possibly be for me? Well, then as time goes by and you can see the lessons, right? You can see them. They're there. And you can see the gold that may have come from that. And you go, oh, didn't see that. Didn't see that. But I'm so grateful because of this new thing, this new way, this new life, this new thought pattern, this new set of principles I'm living from, right? That's guiding me to greater things than I've ever experienced before. You got a great guide inside of you it's like the best earthly ride we can have, but we listen to our ego. And there's some good stuff good ideas they could come up with, but the best ideas come from your soul because it's from a life force that is, let's go. We can do this, right? We can't. That's no, we can. We can. All right. So whether it's a simple phone call, a conversation, a job interview, difficult situation, or exciting new chapter of life, be sure you're putting your very best out front, whatever that is at the time. Your very best when you're going through crap. It's not going to look the same as your very best when you're whistling Dixie. Get that, right? But rising to even a little bit higher than you would have been and pushing through whatever that is you got to do, I've seen that make champions. I've seen that make champions in my own family. So first impressions are always about your approach. If you're going for a new job, as an employer, and we've got a beautiful team, for me, it's what light is coming through that door. You better bring your light through that door. That's your first impression. Your best impression is your light, your smile, your I can and I will and I plan to contribute. because I want to have the great work atmosphere that I hope this place is, right? You bring that to any place you go. You're going to be a welcome treat in a negative, heavy world like this. A light in the midst, one that's, man, that adds so much, and everybody else rises up to it because that's our natural state. But if you got a curmudgeon, you're going in as the curmudgeon, lower energy. I just need a job, just need some money. Well, what energy are you bringing that's, going to qualify you for that the person on the other side wanting to bring you in to the family that they've created, a family that, they may have built for a long time. You've got to bring your best into there. And man, you bring your smile and you're happy in there, and your work ethic, and that work ethic is strong, and you show up, and you're a person that shows up not just with their body, but with their best energy. You can't lose. That's going to carry you through your life better than anything any college will ever teach you. If you have a master's degree in good energy, helping others wherever you are, being that person that steps up, you got that. That's the magic. That's the magic in this world. This kind of become a land of low expectation over the last however many years, right? No, it takes this much more these days, but imagine if you're deciding to do it for yourself and just let flow what flows. Imagine if you're bringing yourself up, and then that's just naturally emanates from wherever you go. It's building your character with a new approach. Okay? So the key is to have your heart open, your guard down. You don't have an attitude. You don't have an attitude when you go in for anything like this, or you're going to go in with to have a conversation with somebody that may be tough. You go with the attitude. Your face is already a sword. It's already a sword. You got to go in with best intentions as best you can. And if you're not at that point yet, there's another page in this book called Write a Letter. Sometimes we can write a letter that spells out everything that our heart wants to say. Keep your ego out of that letter. You can spell that out the first time, but go back over the essence of what it is you need from that letter if you write it out. Because your ego just wants to go guns a-blazing and say everything, everything bad under the sun, right? But if you go in and you write it beforehand, you work it out. You work it out of your system. You work the crap out of your system. You sift it out, get to the truth, make it simple, go in and say, this is what I need, and, I know what you need, and if we can bring that to each other, great. If it can't be that way, then I don't want to part, with bullshit. No, that just stays with you. That stuff that you leave behind, that's garbage, that you didn't care about, that's still there. People talk. Don't do that. Come in on good terms, leave on good terms, whatever that is in your job, right? Just loving your way forward that way. It's what you're doing. You're using the energy of your forever self to guide you through life. It gets you there better than any other vehicle you could drive. Okay. So always bring your confident self when you leave your home for the day, not an arrogant self. Arrogance and confidence are two different things. Arrogance is, I trust in this thing that I've made, and the things that I've done and all that stuff. No, that's your story. Confidence, true confidence, comes from knowing that you're the light and you mean the best for everybody that you're going to be in contact with, and that's your calling card, and you be easy about things. You can be mellow and get so much more, many more doors open for you that way. Kindness attracts kindness. Arrogance is the ego thinking it's better than everybody else from lots of time insecurity, right? Arrogance comes from insecurity, because insecurity lives in the ego. It's in the ego because it's a made-up self. What's real about you is your soul. So if your soul was in charge, you wouldn't go in there with any kind of attitude. You go in there as, how can I help? How can I help? And you're going to help by having me have a living. I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. And if we have a great rapport and we have a great energy flow, now you got something there. You got a new place. You know, you got a new experience with new people that maybe you didn't have before because you're going in and consistently going in as a giver. And the receiving will come. And if for some reason it doesn't work out that when you're ready to move up to another level, you're still bringing that experience along that you've had. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. New, better experience. And you're going to take that new level of good energy luggage on your next journey. Okay? If you want to do that. Or if you just want to grow where you are, you can grow right where you're planted. Right? But do some things that you've never seen done before that are sticking inside of you that you've been thinking about. Get them out of here. Get them onto paper. Make the thing, whatever that is. Whatever you want to do that. There's something in your craw that wants to get out of there. You know, we're all creative. Come up with some stuff. Do it. Okay? Always have your giving nature as your leading energy. Excuse me. You will attract back to yourself the very best opportunities, which will compound and multiply as you continue this open, trusting approach. If you go into any situation with your ego in the lead, including suspicion, anger, resentment, jealousy, fakery, or nervous energy, you're going to continue, your outcome will often be less than successful. You know, it'll be, you're going to go around the block 10 times when you can just go right next door with your good stuff. Leave the garbage out of it. Leave it out. It's all the stuff you regret anyway. Okay. Leading life in these lower energies will always attract the very same back to you. Is that what you really want? Always be asking yourself the question before you enter and approach anything. What do I really want? You know, if I'm going into work or I'm going into a family event, what do you want? What do you want the energy to be? Are you going to bring in your bad stuff and try to bring everybody down because you're just had a fight with somebody or whatever? No. You can try and pick up on the good energy in the room and let that shift you. That's how that could happen. You know, don't become the force of the that's the time to absorb when it's good energy in the room, because we're always absorbing other people's energy. Remember that, right? So we can shield ourselves from the negative just by staying in our light and saying, you know, they're in a bad way right now. Let's see if we can bring them out of it. And that's the gift back. And then they come up and they're happy they didn't come in with that approach they were going to. Right? It's forethought. You know, hindsight is 20/20, they say, but when you're living from your light, forethought is, you know, it's self-awareness. Self-awareness is forethought. What am I about to let this character do? You know, my emotion, am I going to let my emotion overtake me, or am I going to look at that emotion and say, is that constructive or destructive? And is there another angle? Because sometimes we only look from one angle, from that one perspective that we were taught. You know, it could be family. This is the right way. I raised you the right way, but it can be limiting that way. You don't look for other angles, and it can come from so many different places. That's why God works in so many mysterious ways. You never see a lot of this stuff coming. Like, that's amazing how that saved our asses, you know, and in our business, saved our asses many times, many. And we're so grateful for that. And, you know, and it kept despite it, because we understood the ego and how it can tear apart good stuff. You know, it can tear apart good stuff. Okay? So leading life in these lower energies will always attract the very same back to you. It is, what do you really want? Always make sure you go into any life situation asking yourself this question: what outcome do I want from this interaction? If I am correct, you're not looking for a feud, a struggle, or a loss, or bad energy, right? What are you looking for? What outcome? You know, you can get to it without 7 miles of story. That's what the heart's for. You can go right from the heart. This is the struggle I'm having. I was going to weave this whole story, but this is what I need, because this is where I'm at, right? It's right to the point, right to the story. You don't have to go around and make a whole bunch of stuff up. Get right to it. And it'll save you a lot of time, a lot of angst, a lot of overthinking. That's why when you can communicate, when you know, when you can just spit out the things that are bothering you rather than bottling them up, that's the thing. We got to learn to communicate from our heart so that it just spells the truth out without all the drama, the needless drama. Because when we know how to communicate from the heart, drama is completely unnecessary. No need for it. That's the ego wants the drama. It wants the fight. It wants the reasons for the fight. It wants the blame. It wants the blame guns are out. And then you did this to me when I was 3 years old. And you did this to me when I was 20. And all this old stuff comes out and flooding in there. And right? Ugh, no way. That's garbage stuff, right? We've seen enough of that. Lived enough in that. Truth in our relationships. Humble truth. That's the best. It's simple. It's just we don't know how to speak it because this world has taught us to speak in ego terms. You rat bastard. But practice from the heart. You'll see. That's where your gold really is. Okay. Your job is always just you. It's always just you. You think your job is everybody else. Well, your example is the best teacher. We talk about that every day. Your example is your best teacher. And the tough situations will be so much better than they would have been. Just a better approach, different angle than you would have normally come from your old training, from the old combat zone. Okay, you're gonna rise out of that a little bit. Okay, just a little bit, one little change every day. How did I do this before? How was my performance when I did it this way before? Because I remember our fights are always pretty much the same. If you're having arguments all the time, they're pretty much the same stuff. It's just your preloaded guns that you think about what you're going to use when they come after you. Right? That's the ego defenses. What do you really want? Get to the heart of the matter. All right, you love each other enough to get to the heart of the matter, then that's what you do. Spell it out. Write the letter if you can't seem to communicate yet, and the letter will let the other person read and digest without having to, get up all upset. And then they may write a letter back to you, right? But at least you get to read it without all the fuss. I've done this with me and my children when they were growing up. I'd write a letter because I know they were closed. They were closed off. They shut you off. You know how quick your kids shut you off when you're trying to teach them any kind of, lessons. Certainly to keep away from the things that you learned yourself. Yeah, they don't like those. They don't like any of those. But this is one way that did work for me. It was write a letter to my kids when they were just shutting me off, and they got a chance to read my love in the letter. And it wasn't about punishment. It was about this. This is why. You tell them the why from here. The why I'm saying it, and not needing to yell. I just want you to know why. And it's all about, I got in here. I had to get past this. I had to get past their little ego. And I had to get back into their heart, the truth. So they understood was that I was saying this because I loved them and I never want to lose them, right? Yeah, that's the stuff. You got it. You got to just be able to say it. And it's got to become easy for you. And I know it's easy for so many of you, but some of the people that we were raised with, love wasn't really taught like that. It was taught by not knowing themselves. So many cases. Anger and hatred and violence and all that other stuff, right? It's just not knowing who you are. It's not remembering who you are. That's what it is. It's not remembering. And not having role models to help you to remember. So if you don't have those, they can, this podcast and others like it are right out there. Let people like me remind you that you are so much more than anybody's ever taught you. Anybody. It's just you're the light. You have it. Use it. It's your greatest gift to yourself and this place. Never leave it out of any recipe you put in. Your work, your home, wherever you're doing, your friendships, your relationships are the gold. Pour into them. Okay, so that's today, and I hope that helped you in some way, many ways. And we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. I'm wearing my snowman sweatshirt today in honor of all the snow. And we'll be starting to make ice cream at the snowman in a couple of weeks. So, despite the snow we see out there, the snow. So, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, we'll be making ice cream, getting ready for the opening. And we probably open up the beginning of March sometime. All right, so look forward. We have that to look forward to. Okay, and we have a great, beautiful day outside to look at and look forward to. So do that and share the light. Have a great day, great snowy weekend, and see you tomorrow.